Celebrating 41 seasons on the air, Farm Week is a production of Mississippi State University Extension.
Today on Farm Week, we're taking a look back at some of Leighton Spann's greatest hits. Check out this collection of Mississippi buffalo producers. See what made them want to try their luck at raising this large and unpredictable animal. Next, Noah's got some competition. This man has an ark of his own on a Mississippi farm. See what creatures big and small make their home here. Finally, gathering fruit like the Mayhaw takes a lot of work. We'll head out on the boat with some Mayhaw hunters and see what goes into making Mayhaw jelly. Farm Week starts right now.
Hello everyone, I'm Leighton Spann.
And I'm Troy Moling. Thanks for joining us today here on Farm Week. Really excited about today's show. Get this, we're going back into the Farm Week archives. We've got a lot of them because we're gonna check out some of the favorite stories covered by Leighton Spann over his career here. And it wasn't easy because this guy's been here a long time.
A lot of video, over 25 years almost.
Wow.
So I took some time, picked a few stories that for one reason or another hold a special place in my heart.
Oh yeah, and this first story we're going to show is from 1995. Now, when it originally aired, you said it was a glimpse into the Old West without having to leave Mississippi.
That's right, Troy. I went to a few buffalo ranches, if you will, around Mississippi, and it seems, of course, that farmers are always trying to see if they can introduce some new type of animal to the ag industry, a new technique, something that's been successful elsewhere, to see if they can do the same thing here.
Oh yeah, well I'm excited to see what you found. I love a good buffalo burger. Let's check it out.
According to Indian tradition, they were born in the Black Hills of South Dakota. Today, you can find buffalo in the hills of East Mississippi, as well as in the Delta and other areas of the state in ever-increasing numbers. Bobby Sykes of Indianola, Mississippi started out with 5 buffalo from an Indian reservation. Now he has over a dozen, including 2 calves.
It's something that I enjoy doing very much, just a hobby.
In 7 years, Bobby Sykes has only sold 2 of his buffalo, and that was earlier this year to a man in Oxford, Mississippi.
Well, we started naming them after the president's wives. We got one named Hillary Clinton, Betty Ford, and Patty Nixon.
Charles Beck of Meridian and his business partner, Frederick Reed, have owned buffalo less than a year. Although a hobby right now, they see the animals as a long-term business investment.
Planning on getting the herd up to about 25 cows, and I can sell some for meat and for breeding stock. Here comes one horn.
There they come. Hear them grunt? They don't move like cows.
Douglas Hill of Steens, Mississippi, is boarding Charles Beck and Frederick Reed's 5 buffalo, along with the 9 that he owns. For Hill, the formidable-looking creatures are a business venture, but he is realistic in his expectations.
It's better than raising cows, because cow prices are down, and even when they were up, the buffalo prices were up higher than the cows. But the market is, especially in the South, it's few and far between. You have to go far and wide. So the first thing you have to do is get you a trailer so you can take your cow to the market.
Douglas Hill bought his first buffalo almost 4 years ago after retiring in Mississippi. From his Hill of Beans farm, he sells both breeding stock and buffalo meat.
Every time we have a female calf, we keep that calf, but if we have a bull calf, if it is an exceptional, good-looking bull, we do sell it for a breeding bull, but if it's not, we end up butchering it.
A company in Macon, Mississippi that's licensed to butcher buffalo processes the meat and packages it for the Hills. The Hills then sell it out of a small meat market behind their house. You can buy everything from ground meat to tenderloin, depending on how much money you want to spend.
The meat is very, very good for you. If you can't have red meat, the cholesterol is very, very low to compare to even to turkey and to chicken. The fat content is very, very low.
In addition to the meat and the hide, there is also a market for buffalo skulls and even buffalo horns. Producers note that the price of a buffalo continues to increase. Douglas Hill says a buffalo that he paid $1,000 for less than 3 years ago would now cost $1,500 to $1,800, and some animals may command a higher price. Somewhat less certain, though, is a buffalo's disposition.
These buffalo may appear to be very tame, but producers say the animals are actually unpredictable.
And this bull is... Yeah.
Well, the buffalo don't pay the fence any mind when he wants to get out. He'll go through it. I hadn't had any problem with any of them well, we had one to get out back last spring, and he outrun 6 horses.
That's not surprising when you consider an average buffalo can sprint at 30 miles an hour. Whether raising buffalo is a financially rewarding decision remains to be seen.
We don't know yet whether we're going to turn out being crazy or on top of a market that's booming.
But for many producers, their love of the animals seems to go a lot deeper than their pocketbooks.
Well, my wife said I'd get rid of her before I got rid of my buffalo, but...
From Indianola, Mississippi, I'm Leighton Spann reporting.
Now, you've done a lot of fun features over the years. I know that you can do more than just buffalo stories like the one that we just saw. You won't find any buffalo at our next stop, though. It was just east of Philadelphia, Mississippi.
That's right, Troy. It's a story from 1994, in fact, goes back quite a ways. And what we found was a farm full of exotic animals, exotics. And this was a serious hobby for the young man you're about to meet that was taking care of all of them. And his dream, his goal, was that one day he'd be able to stay home on the farm instead of having to go into town and working a regular 8 to 5 job.
When Mike Calvert arrives home from his job in Philadelphia, Mississippi, there's still a lot of work to be done. You see, it's a big place, this old dairy farm where Mike and his daddy both grew up, and now Mike has quite a large family.
I always liked small animals, like with our cattle and everything, when we'd have a uniquely small baby, well, I just took to it and would take it for a pet. And so then when I found out about all the miniature animals, I naturally got interested in them.
That interest has grown into serious business. For example, a quality 4-month-old American miniature horse can be worth $5,000. Mike's very first animal was one of these little horses, this paint mare. He got her back in 1988 in Macon, Mississippi. Today, Mike has over 50 unusual animals. They come in all sizes and personalities, and from as far away as South Dakota and Delaware.
Adults and children alike visiting Mike Calvert seem to be most fascinated with what's behind me, the Tennessee fainting goats.
The goats appear to literally faint when frightened.
It's a nerve disorder called myotonia, and I really don't understand what happens, but it's some kind of dysfunction in their nervous system, and it causes their muscles to lock up, and some people call them wooden leg goats because they actually don't go unconscious like you do if you faint, but they do just lock up and stiffen and then they fall over.
This Mongolian black-cheeked dwarf goat is the rarest animal here. It's believed to be one of only 35 in the entire country. And then there are Mike's larger animals, Irish Dexter cattle like Goliath here, a miniature breed of cattle only about 36 inches tall, and Belgian horses, cousins of the famous Clydesdales.
And you actually work these horses on the place?
Yes, I do. We plow them and work them to a wagon.
There is always something new, or at least not very old, around the Calvert homestead, maybe even a surprise or two. While I was making friends with his newest American miniature horse, born on the 4th of July, Mike looked out on the hillside and discovered a new belted Galloway calf. The belted Galloway are often referred to as Oreo cookie cows because of the distinctive white band around their middle. These pastures used to be home to big Holstein cows until 1991, when Mike's father sold the family dairy operation. Mike had a hand in that business, having milked the cows every evening in this building, beginning when he was 11 years old. His love for this place and the dairy business continues, even though he's now a bank employee by day. That's another reason he got into unusual animals.
It's really a serious hobby because I want to be able to, have an income from this one day. I would like to get to the point to where I could do this full time, but I don't know if that'll ever be. But I would like that if I could, because I like the farm and I would like to stay at home.
From the Neshoba-Kemper County line in East Mississippi, I'm Leighton Spann reporting.
Love the whistling you got at the end.
That's right.
I love the fainting goats in that story too. That's probably my favorite part.
Oh yeah, my favorite part too. Now Michael, as you saw, has quite the collection there, and it all started again as you understood the fascination with those miniature horses. And that was, by the way, my very first feature here on Farm Week.
First one, no
Yeah,
kidding.
yeah.
He certainly had quite the arc at his farm though, didn't he?
He did.
We're going to turn now to our feature, our trivia quiz for today. We just mentioned loving the goats in that story, and let's stick with the goat theme for our question. If you follow the Farm Week Facebook page, you know we love posting stories about goats. Here we go with today's question. There are lots of goat farms across the United States. What percentage of the goats on those farms are raised for their meat? Is the answer 60%, 70%, 80%? Maybe it's 90%. Well, make your guess, and we'll have the answer later in the show. We've got one final Leighton feature coming up at the end of the show, but first in this week's Southern Gardening segment, Extension horticulturist Dr. Gary Bachman shows us the amazing variety of daylilies that are sure to add some stunning big flowers to your landscape.
You have to admit that daylilies are one of the most popular flowering perennials. They're versatile, adaptable, and only require a little care. Today's Southern Gardening is visiting the new daylily display bed at the Veterans Memorial Rose Garden on the Mississippi State University campus. The array of flowers in a multitude of colors on display is absolutely stunning. Let's take a look. Black plush is a fine example of a spider type with velvety black petals surrounding a bright yellow throat. Classic caper is a beautiful 5-inch diameter flower in salmon rose with a large maroon eye and yellow throat. Elegant Candy has lovely 4-inch pink flowers with a cherry red eye and green throat and is certainly a sweet treat in any garden. Restless Heart creates some excitement with golden orange flowers with its red-orange eye and green throat. Rocket City has eye-catching bittersweet orange petals with a contrasting burnt orange eye and I love the recurving petals. Vintage Bordeaux has 5-inch blooms with velvety deep black cherry petals complemented with a glowing chartreuse throat. While flexible to most soil conditions in Mississippi, for the best performance, they should be planted in raised beds for enhanced soil drainage. And true to their name, daylilies only last for a single day. But each plant produces many flower buds and may take a month for them all to open. Daylilies make nice specimen plants, but I think a mass planting is extra special. I'm horticulturist Gary Bachman, and I'll see you next time on Southern Gardening.
A healthy diet is only one step toward your body's overall health. Exercise has to play a key role as well. You'll remember last month we met nutritionist Dr. Brent Fountain. Well, he's back again. And in this week's Food Factor segment, Brent and MSU Extension's Natasha Haynes tell us the importance of enjoying being active.
Here on the Food Factor, we are serious about healthy eating, but we're also serious about something that goes hand in hand with good nutrition, and that's exercise. On today's Food Factor fitness tip, we join Dr. Brent Fountain.
Hey, thanks, Natasha. You're right, the two do go hand in hand. Unfortunately, just as people fail to maintain a healthy eating regimen, the same can happen to well-intentioned goals for routine exercise. So here are some tips to help you stay the course. The most important exercise in your quest to be healthy needs to be an activity that you enjoy doing. This can be a traditional exercise or something as simple as working in the garden every day or enjoying outdoor activities with friends and family. One of the main reasons workout plans fail is that people have a preconceived notion of what exercise should be. This often involves special equipment at a gym or jogging every day. And while both of those are good forms of exercise if you enjoy them, they aren't great if there's something you dread. Another important factor is to plan out your exercise schedule ahead of time and be consistent with it. Nothing helps a person stay on track better than a plan and a goal. And remember, adults need 150 minutes of moderate physical activity each week, so find what you enjoy and stay active.
Thanks, Brent, for those helpful tips. And remember, it's time to make healthy food and fitness a factor in your life.
Back to the trivia quiz now, and we wanted to know, with all the goat farms in America, what percentage of the goats on those farms are raised for their meat? Well, did you guess C? That's the answer. Nearly 80% of goats in the U.S. are raised for their meat, about 15% raised for milk, and Angora goats make up around 5% of the U.S. population. And the Angora goats, they are raised for their hair. Nah.
Today's final feature was done on the Gulf Coast in 1997. It's about a specialty food made from a particular wild fruit. I like this story because it was a little out of the ordinary for Farm Week. There's a boat ride, snakes in trees, and time in a kitchen. Sit back and enjoy. It's time to begin our hunt for wild mayhaws on a river.
It's like Mardi Gras.
That's the way I like them. Throw me something, miss.
Oh, I just better scoop these up. Ah!
It's almost like a party atmosphere for Bob Goche and his daughter Tony this day in late April 1997. Using a boat as a platform, they are harvesting wild mayhaws along the tributaries of the Pascagoula River in Jackson County. The mayhaw is a fruit that grows wild in swamps not only in Mississippi but across the South.
Some people compare it to a crab apple, but it's a tart berry. It's not good as a dessert fruit, you know, like a strawberry or something. You really need to make something sweet out of it, like jelly or syrup, something like that.
That's why Tony Goche and her father, Bob Goche, are out here. They harvest the little fruit to make jelly.
Oh, there's some beautiful red berries there. Not too many, but some.
Binoculars are a necessity when you're searching for wild mayhaws. They help in spotting the fruit as well as the snakes. Some days the snakes are on the low-hanging limbs that your boat must pass under. Cousin Doug Goche in the Javelin jacket is providing the boat for this harvest trip, as well as doing the driving. Bob is the spotter for the mayhaws.
Doug, Let's nose up right in here.
Once the boat is positioned under a tree bearing the fruit, Bob Gauthier uses a pole hook to shake the limbs. The mayhaws fall into the water, and nets are used to quickly scoop up the berries. This is the first stage in making mayhaw jelly, and the beginning of quality control for the finished product.
Try to get a good mix of the colors. You know, you don't want a lot of real ripe ones. See, like this green one, you know, there may even be some like that in the mix, but you get your color from the ones that are really ripe, but then you need some of the less ripe ones. It's a high acid and it's a high fiber, high pectin berry, which is good, which makes it ideal for jelly making as opposed to your soft fruits like blueberry or muscadine.
Some years the Gauthiers have scooped up over 20 gallons of mayhaws from this area in a single day. The 1997 harvest did not turn out to be quite that good. The average boat trip like this one only yielded 7 to 8 gallons of fruit. Once the harvest is complete, the real work begins. The mayhaws are brought to this kitchen in Gautier. The first step is to boil the fruit to make juice. This container of berries will produce about 8 or 9 gallons of juice. That much juice will be enough to make as many as 40 cases of mayhaw jelly. But again, we're still a long way from the finished product at this point in the process. On the day of our visit, Tony and Bob take turns tending the cooking berries.
It cooks at a high heat for a while, then a lower heat for a while. See how the berries are starting to sink? Before all the berries were piled real high, you can see that they were all up to here. So you see the color is starting to come through. So we're going to get a nice red juice from this batch. So that's very good.
But color is not all you have to worry about when you're making jelly. You also want clarity. A real clear juice makes for real clear mayhaw jelly, and that's why the Gauthiers strain their juice 3 times at this point in the production process.
Oh, I don't have my apron on. Stand back. It's hot stuff.
Once they're satisfied with the clarity of the juice, the Gauthiers pour it into another container that's being heated and begin watching a thermometer. In order to get jelly, you have to get the mayhaw juice to a temperature that's 8 or 9 degrees above boiling. Now the final stage of the jelly making begins. Assisted by Jerry Dion, Bob Gauthier moves the juice container from the gas burner to the tabletop, and Tony Gauthier begins the process of filling the jars one at a time from a valve on the bottom of the juice container.
This is the way my grandmother did it, you know, the way I did it when I was a child, the way my mother did it. You know, it's just the old home way. We don't use any preservatives, we don't use corn syrup, we don't use any chemical additives, you know, citric acid or sodium citrate or all these other things. We use pure cane sugar and pure, you know, natural fruit pectin, and then the juice.
Jerry Dion completes this stage by putting the lids on the jars, again by hand. Together, Tony and Jerry can easily produce 40 cases of mayhaw jelly in a day. With additional manpower, they have turned out as many as 92 cases in one day. It's a production system that's evolved through ingenuity and the custom engineering of Bob Gauthier.
We just weren't big enough to go get the big factory jelly equipment, you know, that's a real high volume operation. And we're a step above the actual home processing, but we're still using those methods, you know. So, but we've improved on that method by batch size and by method of filling. As I said, pouring off the bottom of the pot instead of off the top of the pot really gives you a clearer jelly in your jar. So that's what we try to do.
Gauthier's mayhaw jelly is available through many grocery stores in central and southern Mississippi, as well as some outlets in New Orleans and other Louisiana cities.
So we have a lot of people that call. A lot of people will receive it as a gift, and then we'll call the number that's on the label. You know, where can I get your jelly? And so then we'll tell them or we'll ship to them.
There are even regular customers in California and other parts of the country now as a result of a national cable TV promotion. Goche's Mayhaws jelly was one of 20 Mississippi-made products featured by QVC, a cable television network, during a national telecast from the state in February 1997. The success of their original home recipe, Mayhaws jelly, doesn't surprise the Goches for one simple reason.
Tastes good.
From Goche, Mississippi, I'm Leighton Spann reporting.
And Troy, I think you can see why I like that story.
Oh yeah, that was a really good story. We do want to mention though that the food handling safety and the guidelines for those who handle the food products, they're not the same today as they were when that story was recorded about 20 years ago.
That's right, absolutely. So please don't take what you saw as a good example of current day food safety practices.
Yeah, something tells me Natasha and the Food Factor folks would not like that too much. But that's going to wrap things up for another edition of Farm Week. We've got our wonderful show in store for you next week, so tune in for that. I know I, for one, really enjoyed the Best of Leighton Spann show today. Some really nice stories. We'll have to do it again sometime. So thanks to everybody out there for joining us this week.
And remember, if you missed a story, you can find the past episodes under the Shows tab on our website, extension.msstate.edu.
And follow us on Facebook and Twitter to join in on the conversation. We'll see you next week.